Good evening. I hope you are doing fine today. So in today's webinar, this is our second webinar in the series of some free webinars that we are conducting in Jamboree for students to help them prepare for the GMAT as well as prepare for the MBA applications, etc. As you all know, and the MBA interview is a very important part of the entire application process. Couple of universities have a mandatory interview round, like if you apply to a Kellogg, then the interview round is mandatory, like it's a part of the process. It's not the second level. In a lot of colleges, in most other colleges, the MBA interview is the second level. What that means is that you send in your applications first with the essays and LORs, and if they like your profile, then you get the interview call. And now the question is, do you start from level 0 at the interview round? Well, that's not true. The MBA interview has some weightage. So for some universities, the MBA the interview weightage is 20%. In some universities, the weightage is 25%. Some universities, the weightage may be as low as 10%. So it doesn't mean that that if you do the interview very well, your admission is guaranteed. The vice versa is also true, that it doesn't mean that if you do very badly in the interview, you will not get an admission. So that's not the case. The interview is still remains a percentage of the overall process. So everybody who gets the interview call, they do not start from the same level. So your rest of the application continues to carry some weightage till you reach the interview round. So the MBA interview is not 100% weightage. It has just about 10 to 25% weightage depending on the university. Any questions? Anybody, any questions? Yes, please go ahead. Just type in your question in the anybody, if you have a question, please type it in the chat window. So Ashima, I see that you have a question. So Ashima, I am assuming that you are asking about the PGPX program, the 1-year MBA programs, right? So to the best of our knowledge, the weightage is about 25%, but no university divulges that weightage. So we can only guess depending on the admission results. So after we get the admission results, we do an assessment and we do a guesstimate basically, because no university divulges the weightage that they give to the interview. So does that answer your question, Ashima? Right. So going on, there are 3 types of interviews. Nowadays, a lot of the universities go for this video interview or Skype interview. Earlier, even just about 3-4 years ago also, most of the universities used to have telephonic interviews. Now the telephonic interviews are very rare. Almost 80% of the universities go for the Skype interview or the video interview. There are a lot of universities which also require one in-person interviews. In-person interview means face-to-face interviews. The top business schools mainly have the in-person interviews. So the interviews are conducted either by alumni or admission committee in Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai kind of places. And now in-person interviews can also be one-to-one or panel interviews. So the ISB interview, for example, is a panel interview. That means you are interviewed by more than one person. So that's the interview panel. So ISB interviews or the IIM, the executive MBA programs, or the Great Lakes MBA program, so their interviews are panel interviews where you have to face more than one interviewer at a time. Other universities, like the universities outside India, their in-person interviews are always one-to-one. There are no panel interviews anywhere outside the Indian-based schools. Telephonic, a handful of the universities still have telephonic interviews, but as I say, the percentage of universities going for telephonic interviews is reducing, day by day. So these are the three ways in which you will be interviewed. Any questions on these? Okay, so if there are no questions, then I will move on. Dress code. This is one question that I get often, from students, that what should I wear? Can I wear casuals, or can I wear semi-formals? Well, my answer is wear only formal. Only formal, because you can't take a risk. You don't know what the interviewer is expecting, but for interviews you cannot go wrong with formal. So nobody will take an offense if you are wearing formal. So be safe, wear formals. So formals for guys, I'm not saying that you wear a proper suit and tie and just a formal shirt with a formal pair of trousers, formal shoes. That's for guys. Girls, you can wear Indian formals, so saris or salwar suits. Their Indian formals would also work, or you can wear the Western business formal, skirts or trousers. But whatever it is, stick to formals, and try not to go with very in your face bright colors. Be as safe as possible when it comes to dress code. Any questions? Any question? Am I still audible? Can everybody hear me? Right. So I'm assuming there are no questions, so I'm moving on. Skype and video interview do's and don'ts. Right. So there are some strict do's and don'ts when it comes to Skype or video interviews. So there should be a plain blank wall behind you. So when you will be projecting yourself on the webcam, make sure that there are no curtains or doors opening, closing, so that kind of thing, behind you, because that is a little distracting and does not look very professional. So try to have a plain blank wall behind you. And as far as possible, if the wall is in a light color, it's better, white or cream or light yellow, any kind of light color is fine. You will not look very visible against a black wall or a dark red wall, and the video quality might suffer. So make sure that when you are if you are giving a Skype or video interview, there should just be a plain blank wall behind you. If there are any paintings or anything, then try take them down before the interview. Any question? Right. No. So next thing you need to keep in mind is switch off all phones. Your mobile phone, if there is anybody in your house at that time, then their phones, all the phones in the vicinity should be switched off. Keep a data card as a backup internet source. When you will be taking the Skype or video interview, so I'm assuming that you would be connected through a broadband connection, but you never know, if the electricity goes. And this being India, obviously, the electricity might go. So just be, or you can put your internet connection, router to the UPS or to an inverter. You can do that as well. If you're not able to do that, then at least keep a data card as a backup internet source. Having internet connectivity problem is the worst thing that can happen during a Skype or video interview. This seems like a minor thing, but sometimes the minor things end up hampering more than bigger things. Your laptop should be fully charged. Again, it's for the same reason. If there is any power outage, your laptop should not die on you, obviously. So make sure that your laptop is fully charged before your Skype interview. Check out your connectivity, speakers, etc. at least a day before the interview. Book some time with a friend or a colleague or somebody in your family, and just do a trial run. Have a mock interview. If you are getting mock interviews done through friends or alumni or through professionals, make sure that you do a dry run. This is what we call the dry run. Do a dry run at least one day ahead of your actual interview, so you can get a chance to check your connectivity, your speakers, your everything, all the entire equipment basically. Yeah, this is one very important thing. Very often during the interview, sometimes students, if they're not able to answer a question, they might they just type in things on the laptop, but those tabs are very clearly audible. So do not type in your computer during the interview. Again, a very basic point, but important. Any questions still here? Yes, no, any questions? Ashima, the reason why you should not type is that it is audible, it becomes audible. So the interviewer can hear that you are typing, and it might cause disturbance. So that's the reason it's not advisable to type in your computer while you are in the middle of your Skype interview. Anything else? Anybody, any question? Another very basic point: close all other windows, tabs, etc. You do not want pop-ups coming, some office emails pop-ups coming, or somebody pinging you on chat. So again, very basic thing: close all other windows, tabs. The Skype video interview should be as professional as possible. In-person interview do's and don'ts. There's similar set of do's and don'ts for in-person, either face-to-face, either one-on-one or panel interviews. Research your interviewer. Very, very important. Like when university send you interview invites for in-person, so they would give the email ID or name of the interviewer. So do research that person beforehand. Go on Google, go on LinkedIn, find out as much as you can about the interviewer. If it's a professor, then you can assume that you will get a very formal set of questions. If it's an alumni, then the interview is not so formal. It becomes more like a conversation. So it's very important to research your interviewer, but at the same time, do not approach that person through any LinkedIn invites or Facebook invites or any other social media stuff. So research your interviewer, but till the time the admission results are out, do not try to contact the interviewer through some social media network. That is a very basic interview etiquette, right? They should not feel pressurized in any way. Have a small snack before you leave. So from your house, when you're leaving for the interview venue, have a small snack. Very important. Sometimes when some people, when they are nervous or when they are panicking, they tend to get hungry. So just to be on the safe side, have a small snack before you leave. We have had students coming to us and saying that they started feeling hungry, and then they were focusing more on the hunger than on the interview. So I'm sure you would not want that to happen to you. So have a small snack before you leave for the interview venue. Again, very basic: reach at least 30 minutes ahead of the scheduled time. Especially with traffic of our big cities, it's actually really important that you leave your house well ahead of the scheduled time of the interview. Carry the MBA CV. By the MBA CV, what I mean is the CV that you will be submitting to the business schools as a part of your application. Carry a printout of that CV with you. Though all the business schools, when they send out the interview invite, they will say that you do not need to bring anything with you. But still, we suggest that you carry the MBA, the CV with you, which you can always ask the interviewer whether they want to take a look at it or not. So sometimes the interviewer might not actually remember everything about you. So it's helpful if you carry the MBA CV. Before you enter the room for the interview, switch off your phone. Any questions on the tips for the in-person interview? Any questions? Right. Now we go to the actual part as to how to prepare for the interview. Content means what are you going to say, what are you going to prepare for the questions. So that's what we call the content. Here one very basic mistake that students do is that they prepare content as per the questions. Like they would prepare content for what is your biggest achievement, or they would prepare content for what is your failure, or they would prepare content for give an example of an instance when you exhibited leadership quality. So but preparing content as per questions is the biggest mistake. So Utkarsh, you can't hear me? Everybody else, can you hear me? Okay, Utkarsh, so I guess right. So I was talking about content. So when you're preparing for the interview, make sure that you do not peg content to questions. So what might happen is that if you are not asked a certain kind of question, then you might miss out on that entire content. So that is not the right approach. So finding questions on the internet and preparing answers for those questions is a very wrong approach. So what might happen is that you might miss out on some very important content. So what you should be doing, make a list of the 10 to 15 highlights of your profile in order of importance. So things like what you want to, what is the highlight? Maybe you have had a very steep career graph. Maybe you have been promoted twice. Maybe you were All India ranked 5th in the CA exam. I don't know. It will vary from profile to profile. But make a list of the 10 to 15 things about yourself that you would definitely want your interviewer to know. And that should be in the order of importance, right? And obviously you should not be contradicting your essays. If in your essay you are saying that you were All India ranked 10 in the CA exam, so in your interview you cannot say that you were ranked All India 8 or something. So make sure that you do not contradict your essays, obviously, and make a list of the 10 to 15 highlights of your profile in order of importance. Now this list is very, very critical. For Skype interviews, I would advise that keep a printout of that list near your laptop, and as and when you are finishing the content, just keep checking them off and try to cover as many of these points as possible. Vishal, you are asking if at all you can't attend. There is yes, Vishal, the recording of these webinars would be available. Your answer should not be more than 2 to 3 minutes long. In panel interviews, at least you get a fixed slot of 30 to 45 minutes. So you can get only a fixed number of questions. So if your answers are longer than 3 to 4 minutes, you are getting fewer questions. That means you are getting fewer opportunities to talk about yourself. So as far as possible, try to keep your answers as concise and precise as possible. Did you understand? This point is very, very important. Is this clear to everybody? Is this clear to everybody? That you should not be preparing answers for questions. You should just be making a list of the most important points of your profile that you need to cover. Never ever prepare content for questions. So whenever a question comes, I am sure you can present it according to the question. Whatever the instances are, whatever the examples are, you can present it as per the question. Ashima, your question is these important points, should we mention them in the CV as well? Yeah, I am assuming that they will be a part of the CV, but some of the points may not be a part of the CV. For example, the personal highlights. Let's say you went to a boarding school. Things like these, they may not be part of your CV, but that is still okay. Right? Any other questions? Next point is rehearse. Just making points is not enough. Let's say your first point was that you got a promotion within 1 year of joining. Now you write down the point. That's simple enough. But try speaking it. That becomes more difficult because you have to explain, you have to give data points such as of the 10 people who joined at the same time through campus interview, I was the first one to get the promotion, something like this. So it's very, very important to rehearse. Do not just note down points, do not just list things. Speak aloud. By rehearse, I mean speak aloud. And record. On your phones, on your laptops, all of us nowadays, we have recording devices. So speak aloud and record. Then listen to the answers. Check whether the time limit is within the 2 to 3 minutes or not. And make somebody else listen to your answers, like your friend, your relative. Are the answers impressive enough? So rehearse, record. Very, very important. Okay, Srivastav has a question here. Some universities require self-requested interview, and in some interviews, interviews are called for by admission panel after going through application. Should our preparation be different in these two cases? No, Srivastav, your preparation should be exactly the same. You should approach them exactly in the same way. Yeah, Bishwadeep, your question is, can extracurricular activities be listed, like participation in different competitions? See, Bishwadeep, when you make a list of the highlights of your profile, then just participation may not be enough. Not doing well, or if you have participated in different kinds of competitions, like maybe sports, maybe poetry, different highlighting a different array of your skills. That would help. I mean, the 10-15 points should be really strong. One thing you guys need to keep in mind is that your interviewer is not given your GMAT score. He is not given your academic record. So your interviewer does not know your GMAT score and does not know your academic record. This is done so that there is no bias against anybody. I mean, if a person has a high score, then the interviewer should not be biased for the student, or if he has a low GMAT score, he should not be against the student. So the interviewer is never given the GMAT score and the academic record. So this is a great chance to display your talent, display your skills. Okay, Srivastav, your question is, I'm asking because when the university calls for an interview after going through our profile, they would already be knowing something about us. Well, it's not the interviewer would just have your essays, and true, yes, they would know something about you, but still the questions would remain the same, so your answer should also remain the same. Okay, Bishwadeep Roy, your question is writing extempore competitions. Yeah, of course, taking part in extracurricular activities should definitely make this, in the list of this 10-15. Now, just some things that should go into these 10-15 points is that, let's say you are from your father is from the army background, or you went through 3, 4, 5 schools as while growing up. So that should be one point. You can talk about how that made you how that made you a very adaptable person, how you were able to adjust to different types of environments. So the 10-15 highlights need not be only achievements. There was a question from Ashima, I think, where you asked whether the point should be in CV. So it's not CV just is only data about your work and academics, but these 10-15 highlights of your profile can be things about yourself. Should be things more personal, right? Obviously the CV points will also come, but you can talk about anything else that is unique to you. So if there is somebody who went to a boarding school, now that is a very good thing to have in the 10-15 points. You can talk about the fact that you were able to learn the value of independence from an early age. Or you can talk about that probably motivating you to do an MBA abroad, things like that. So these 10-15 highlights, so actually not just highlights, these are points, these should be points which differentiate you from other applicants. Yeah, Gaurav, I will cover that question. Ketki, your question is, but in our CV which we are carrying with us while going for interview, academic records will be included, so interviewers will know about it, right? Yeah, in your B school, the MBA CV, you will have the academics, yes. So if your academics are strong, no harm, obviously. But if you feel that your academics are not very strong, then probably you should not have it in your CV, in the CV that you are carrying for the interview. So Srivastav, there are some common interview questions that I will cover, and when I cover those, I will tell you what to talk about and what not to talk about. Okay? Right, so as I was saying that just noting down points or just making a list of things is incomplete preparation. You have to speak them aloud. If it's an in-person interview, then sit in front of a mirror. Take care of your body language. You cannot slump or you cannot appear too relaxed. So you need to take care of your body language while you are answering your questions. So very important to rehearse and record. Sometimes when you speak, you do not realize that you are making mistakes. For example, some people have the habit of putting in small Hindi words in between their, I have seen that in the best of the professionals that I interview. I see that they add small Hindi words like to, uske baad, things like that. But that is what you should not be doing in the interview. So rehearse, record your answers, play them back, listen to them, and re-rehearse. That means if there is something that you want to get rid of, something that has become a habit but not a very good habit, so like putting in Hindi words or things like that, then you re-rehearse till you get rid of that habit. Any questions? Any questions on how to go about preparing the content? Any questions on that? Yes, no? Right. Then I'll move on. Okay, Sumit, you have a question? What's your question, Sumit? Well, no, Sumit, even the IIM programs, for the 1-year MBA programs, they are usually not based on current affairs. So current affairs you need not prepare. Most of the, in fact, yeah, most of the questions are based on personal. Any other questions? Anybody? Okay. No questions? Then I'm moving on. Do not over rehearse. What this means is that rehearsing is fine, but do not memorize the content. Do not make the mistake of writing 1-page answers for all the types, all these 10-15 points, and memorizing them. The problem with that is that during your interview you will get questions for which you have not prepared, and then there will be a stark difference in the quality of the answers for which you have rehearsed and the answers for which you have not rehearsed. So do not over rehearse. Do not over rehearse in the sense that do not memorize the details of this 10-15 highlights, right? Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, I seem to have, Windows seems to have kicked me out. So anyway, we are back and live again. So we covered the content part. Now the delivery. Delivery is very, very important. Do not put on an accent. So this is, I see students doing this, that they try to put on an accent. So speak the way you would speak otherwise. The Indian accent is as good as any. Do not try to put on an accent. So in your delivery, this is what you have to be careful of. Speak slowly. We as Indians, we tend to speak very fast. So when you are giving your answers, especially if it is a telephonic interview or if it is a Skype interview, make sure that you speak slowly. Speak clearly. Another very important thing, do not rush into sentences. There should be some pause between your sentences. Speak as clearly and audibly as possible. Speak with punctuation. So what I mean by this is that, if you are speaking a sentence which has a comma or which has a question mark, then that should come up in the way that you are speaking. So your diction, the way you are delivering, just like dialogue delivery in movies, right? It should not be flat. You should speak, the punctuation that is supposed to be there in the sentence should come across in the way you are speaking. Be organized. Okay. Let's say there is a question saying, why do you want to do an MBA? That is one of the common questions. And there might be 3-4 reasons. So when you start the question, you should say, there are quite a few reasons why I am thinking of doing the MBA. Firstly, secondly, thirdly, lastly. So that's how your question should be structured. So speak clearly, slowly, and be organized. It should not be one like whole jumble of reasons. If there are clear 3 to 4 reasons, which I am sure there will be, because you would be doing your essays first. You will be submitting your essays, and then the interview would happen. So in your essays, you would have already written the 3-4 reasons for doing the MBA or for choosing that business school. So when you are in the interview, when you are repeating those, make sure you speak in an organized manner, such as firstly, secondly, things like that, or first of all, second of all, whatever, but be organized. Be energetic. Okay, no matter what time of the day, some of the B schools like the ISB interview or the IMs, which are the panel interviews, the interviews start from 9 a.m. and go on till 5:45. So it's a long day. So your turn might come at 5 p.m. or 5:45 p.m. So it will be difficult to stay energetic, but well, that's not an option. You have to stay energetic. Your voice should be loud. Your body language should be positive. You should appear as somebody eager and friendly. Voice modulation. This actually goes with this goes with this. The voice modulation should be as per the punctuation. So if there is something that you want to emphasize on, then that you know how to emphasize on something. So when if there's something you want to emphasize on, then that part should come a little bit more loudly. If there's something that a little casually, then that you can rush up a bit. So the voice modulation should be there, just like a good actor delivers dialogue in a movie. So the voice modulation should be there in your answers. Otherwise, it will just be in a flat tone and not very interesting. Wrap up your answers. This is a very important point, again, especially for Skype interviews or telephonic interviews. Let's say that I'm asking you a question, what are your reasons for wanting to do an MBA? Okay, so you tell me firstly, secondly. So I'm waiting. I don't know how many reasons you have. I don't know whether you are done with your answer or you are going to speak for some more time. That's why it's very important to wrap up your answer. So if somebody is asking you, like, tell me something about yourself, let's say that is the question. So after you have spoken for whatever time you want to speak for, then you should say, say something like, so this in a nutshell is about me, or this is all about me, or this is what I want to talk about myself. Whatever it is, give an indication to the interviewer that your answer is over. Otherwise, there might be some really uncomfortable pauses between your answer and the interviewer, trying to guess whether your answer is over, not over, etc. Again, coming back to our mantra, rehearse, record, re-rehearse. Even for delivery, for content as well as delivery, rehearse, record, re-rehearse, but do not over-rehearse. Any questions on the delivery part? So Bishwadip has a question saying that what things do an interviewer generally focus or look in an applicant during interview? Okay, I'll come to that. What type of questions they ask for experienced candidate? Okay, so all these questions, I'm going to cover in the next slide. Right? Anything else? Okay, Gaurav, your question is valid that yes, I did ask you that you should be in a friendly mood, but what if the interviewer is in a not very friendly mood, like an aged person? Well, a lot of aged people are in a friendly mood, but yeah, what if your interviewer is not in a good mood? But doesn't matter. You have to appear amicable. Doesn't matter what mood the interviewer is in. And of course, you should not be cracking jokes. When I say you have to be friendly, I don't mean that you have to be cracking jokes. In fact, humor is a very sensitive thing, especially with Indian interviewers. So try to, don't try humor too much. But otherwise, you definitely should come across as an amicable person. Okay. Okay, well, it was unfortunate that you came across a grumpy old, interviewer. Any other questions? But see, no matter how bad the mood of the interviewer is, you stay positive. It's your interview, not his interview, right? So you stay positive. You deliver whatever you want to deliver. So just don't let the person affect your answers. You keep a mental note that you have to finish those 10-15 points. You have to cover those 10-15 important highlights. That's the mental note, the mental checklist basically. This question done, this point done. You should maintain a mental checklist of those 10-15 highlights, irrespective of the personality of your interviewer or irrespective of the way the panel is treating you. You have to do your job. Deliver those 10-15 highlights of your profile. Okay, any questions? Anybody, any question? Okay. So before I go into the next slide, so just one thing that in panel interviews, it happens, we have got this feedback quite often that in panel interviews, when there are like 3 people, so one person might not be paying attention to you, or there was one case where one of the interviewers was just reading a newspaper. So don't let that bother you. Sometimes they might actually be just stress testers, pressure testers. So don't bother about what the if 1 or 2 of the interviewers in a panel interview is not paying attention to what you are saying. Okay, right, any questions? Some commonly asked questions. Tell me about yourself. In my experience, I have trained people for MBA interviews for close to 9 years now, and in my experience, most of the interviews start with this: tell me about yourself, or introduce yourself, or describe yourself. Some interviewers might get innovative and ask you, what is the most interesting thing about you? So something about yourself. So this happens to be the first question in most interviews, and you have to make sure that this is impressive. Very often students start with saying that, well, I'm an engineer, or I'm a software engineer. Well, that is a very dull beginning. I would never advise you to say I'm a mechanical engineer or I am an engineer. Okay, start with something else, that that I grew up in a family of 4. Anything other than saying that I am an engineer, right? So in your tell me about yourself, tell me something about yourself, the answer should be, this is probably the longest answer that you would give. It would be it should be at least 2 to 3 minutes long, not minimum. I'm saying at least 2 to 3 minutes long. It should cover some things about your personal life, as in where are you from, who's there in your family, and if there is anything interesting about your family, like if it's a cross-cultural family, if your mother is from some other part of the country, father is from the other part, anything interesting about your family, if you grew up in a joint family, or if your religion is something unique like a Parsi, or so anything unique about your personal life, that should definitely be covered. Then coming to your schooling, if again try to cover unique stuff, do not give them data points, right? Unique stuff as in if you have studied in a boarding school, or if you have have changed, if you had changed 3, 4, 5 schools for whatever reason, or if you were an NCC cadet, or if you had participated actively in NSS projects, whatever it is, anything unique about your school life, during your school life, or even if you had been a bright student throughout the school, so that also you can say that that I have I have been fortunate enough to rank in the top 3 in my class throughout my school, something like that. Do not be arrogant. Obviously, you should always, instead of saying that I have been a bright student, you should say my teachers have always felt that I am one of the top students in my class. So try to present things in that way. Do not just try to avoid coming across as arrogant. So it's better to say that my friends have always felt that that they can learn concepts clearly from me, even though I was in the same class as them. Whatever it is, try to find a way to present the same point across in a less arrogant manner, right? So your tell me about yourself should have unique points about your personal life, some strong points about your schooling. If you have been involved in some sports, etc., sports or singing, dancing, this kind of activities during the school, obviously that. Then coming on to college, your bachelor's degree, again, do not go into marks that I scored 78%. Don't give them data points, right? Just tell them your achievements, right? That I was ranked in top 5% in my bachelor's degree. So whatever it is, just give them some of those kind of points. And when you come to your professional life, again, do not tell them that this is my salary, these are my job responsibilities. Do not talk about that. Talk about your achievements, the 2, 3 achievements that you have had in your work life till now, right? Do not go into job responsibilities. So Ashima, the maximum time for this answer should be probably not more than 4.5 minutes, right? So practice this answer very well, and this should be interesting. Stay away from things like if somebody asks you that, so Ashima, tell me something about yourself, you should definitely not start by saying, well, my name is Ashima. I have had students doing that as well. So when the interviewer is asking you, Ashima, tell me about yourself, you are definitely not expected to say, well, I am Ashima. So even when you are preparing the answer, very often the interviewer will ask you like this, that Bishwadip, tell me something about yourself, or Gaurav, tell me something about yourself. So your answer should, the first line should definitely not be your name. Find the one interesting thing about you. I'll give you some examples of interesting things. So I had this software engineer, regular engineer with 3 years of software experience in TCS. So as common a profile as can be. So his interesting thing about him was that the Rubik cube, right? So his hobby was to solve the Rubik cube. And his record time was 33 seconds or something. So he started with that in my free time I like solving the Rubik cube. My is 33 seconds, and my hobby is singing. Sometimes I solve the Rubik cube while singing. So that was an interesting beginning. If he would have started saying that I did my engineering from IP University and is currently working as a software engineer in TCS, that would have been very, very mind-numbingly boring. So try to find an interesting opening sentence to this question. Right? Any questions? Anybody, any questions on this question? So Ashima, 18 seconds is good, so maybe you should start with that. And Ashima, if you plan to apply for ISB or any of the business schools which have panel interviews, then carry the Rubik cube with you. And when you say 18 seconds, then you can say, well, in case you are interested, I can demonstrate it for you. And then sometimes they might actually humor you and say that, well, yeah, okay, show it. So that helps. I mean, I have had cases where students were asked by ISB to sing or to dance, just to demonstrate, so which is great. So be prepared for that as well. Okay, next question, next commonly asked question is why MBA, which is obvious. I'm sure I'm sure all of you would be writing essays on this. Okay. I had a question, I think, from Bishwadeep saying that, or Gaurav, somebody asking that what are the things that the interviewer is looking for? Somebody had this question. Well, one important quality that the interviewer is looking for is clarity of thought. So the why MBA, so clarity of thought and maturity. These are the two things that they are looking for. They don't want to admit somebody who is not very sure why he needs the MBA, somebody who is not sure how the MBA is going to kickstart his career. So they are not looking for those kind of people. They are looking for people who have clarity of thought regarding their reasons for wanting to do the MBA, right? So your why MBA should be very, very, very concrete, and it has to be in sync with your essay. Very important. Your why MBA essay is anyway the essay that the interviewer is definitely going to read before he meets you. So and every business school has the why MBA essay in some form or the other. Why should be clear. Why MBA should be clear. Yes, why MBA should be very clear, and stick to the content of the essays. Of course, elaborate, but the main points, the main 2-3 points that you have written in your essay, that's what you should stick to it, right? Why this B school? Again, these two are usually combined together, depends on the interviewer. Very often they combine these. Why do you want to do an MBA from this B school? That's what they might ask you. So then you have to split your answer into, first, these are my reasons for wanting to do the MBA, and then the second part will be why this B school, right? So when you and these are the questions for which you have to prepare content as per the questions, obviously. And in why this B school, do not be generic about the business school. So do not say things like, this is a world-renowned business school, this has world-class infrastructure, cutting-edge technology, blah blah blah. Please do not say such generic things. Find out the reasons why you want to go to this business school. You can talk about their different clubs. Probably you want to join their consulting club. Probably they have some unique experiential learning program that you want to go for. Maybe they have some immersion programs, like Cornell has this immersion program, So they might have some unique offerings in terms of courses, specializations, or internship programs. So talk about those. Do not say generic things. Okay, before I go into career goals, one thing, why this B school? After this, sometimes in some interviewers, just to stump you, they might ask you, so which other business schools are you applying to? So I have had quite a few students who have faced this question, that after answering why this business school, the interviewer asked them, which other business schools are you applying to? So here, don't say that, well, this is the only business school I'm applying to. That's not a very good answer. Everybody knows that, no one's gonna apply to only one business school. So it's okay to say that I have applied to 2-3 more business schools. Name some business schools that are not as good as that business school, but not very bad as well. The reason is that next follow-up question will be, if you get an offer from all of them, which one would you take up and why? So you have to prepare for those follow-up questions also. So after why this business school, in case you get a Now, which other business schools are you applying to kind of question. So name 2-3 business schools, and they have no way to know whether you have actually applied to those or not. So name 2-3 business schools which are of the same level, have the same points as this Y, but they should not be neither very bad or very good in comparison to this business school. So when the next question comes, as in which offer are you going to take up, you will have a clear answer, right? Anybody has any questions? So this is a very sensitive kind of question, and you have to be prepared for that. Bishwardeep, your question is, we must search about uniqueness about the universities from the official site. Yeah, yes, Bishwardeep, all the information is available on the business schools, official websites. Nanyang, Sumit, not just Nanyang, all the business schools have this question. In fact, I have seen this in all business schools, that which other business schools are you applying to. So at the time of application, at the time of submitting the application, you can leave it blank, because by that time probably you would not have applied to other colleges. But if you have, then you can write the names as well. So at the time of application, if you are leaving it blank also, it's okay. Or if you have given other names, that is also okay. You can always say that I was planning to apply to those business schools and I did not. Okay, Sumit? Srivastav, can you give us examples of some response for alternate choices? Okay. Actually, it depends on which business school you are applying to. So, let's say ISB, right? Let's say you are applying to ISB, and you are getting the question about which other business school are you applying to. So now, when you talk about the next set of business school, you have to make sure that, let's say you are saying why ISB, because it's in India, or it's a 1-year MBA, whatever reasons you are giving. So the other 2-3 business schools should also have those reasons. So you can talk about the IIM Ahmedabad program, or IIM Bangalore program, or Great Lakes program, which are also 1-year MBA programs and which are also in India. So is that clear, Srivastava? So Srivastava, is that clear? So as I said, this is a very particular question, that very specific question that you have to do very proper homework for. So if you say your another question is, if you receive offers from all of those, which one would you accept? The answer should be the business school that you are interviewing for. Now here is also a catch. Sometimes it might so happen, fortunately, that probably you already have an admission offer, and then you have an interview call from a business school which is almost as good as the one from which you have already got the interview call, right? From which you have already got the admission offer, So in that case, you can say that, well, I already have an admitted hand, so depending on the amount of scholarship that I get from the universities, that I will decide which one to go to. So you have to kind of modify your answer depending on what your situation is. Okay, your question is, if you receive offers, so I think I just answered that question. If you receive from all the business schools, then your winning factor you should say is the amount of scholarship that I get. Bishwardeep, it's not true that everybody will try to get into the top B schools. Different people have different specifications. For some people, budget may be a constraint. Some people, they might want a short-term MBA, like a 1-year or 17-month MBA. Some people might want a business school with, want to do a finance major. Some people might want to do a consulting major. So it's not true that everybody wants to get in only into the top B schools. Right, okay, career goals. Again, this also a clarity of thought question. These 3 are clarity of thought questions. Career goals, stick to the ones that you have written in the essays. Do not try to add stuff. So the ideal thing is that you do the entire thinking while writing your essays. then interview you will not face any problem. So your career goals, long term, short term, should be again clear and a repetition of whatever you have written in your essays, but obviously little bit elaborate. Okay. Okay, there is a question from B school interview saying that what level of questions they will ask in scholarship. Okay, I am not clear about your question. There is no separate scholarship interview, so this is the MBA interview is different, you know. Okay, so as I was saying, the another common question is, give an example of an instance when you exhibited leadership quality, or what has been your leadership experience till now. So in this, when you pick an instance, make sure that you have displayed leadership in a very critical moment, and then when you and prepare the answer in a build-up mode. That means first you describe the situation, the struggle, the challenge, then you describe your role, you know, and in this try to use as many I's as possible. Do not say we did this, we developed this. You should say I took the initiative of suggesting this, I went ahead, or I motivated. So there should be quite a few I's, right, in this answer. And something related to leadership experience. So the follow-up question for this answer may be, what is your leadership style? Right? So leadership style, again, I mean, there are different types of leadership style, textbook leadership style, but you do not have to talk about those. You can describe your own, you know. So leadership style can be very democratic or participative. So leadership, what is your leadership style? So that is sometimes a follow-up question to this answer. So there is a question from B school interview asking, if I have applied for scholarship, what kind of questions will be asked to me? There is no differentiation between the candidates who apply for scholarship and who do not apply for scholarships. The MBA interview process is independent of whether you have applied for scholarship or not. That is not the decision. The decision is made for admission, and then the scholarships are given by the admission committee. It has nothing to do with the interview. Ashima, your question is, I don't understand the concept of leadership styles. Ashima, there are different types of leadership styles. You know, like some people just like to dictate things. That they do their own research and they would have their subordinates follow the instructions. Some people they listen to everybody, you know, and then they take the inputs and then they go ahead and make the decision. Some people believe in breaking the tasks into different small parts and delegating them to their team members and letting them do whatever they want to do with those tasks. So there are different types of leaderships. You know, how do you manage your team, kind of thing. Bishopdeep, they do not need any certificate or award for leadership things, but in your MBA essays or letters of recommendation, you know, if there are examples of instances when you have done anything innovative, any achievement wise, you can present those as leadership. But it's better if for the leadership answer, pick instances where it was not something you have done single-handedly, where you have managed or coordinated with different people, you know, so that your people's skills are also displayed. Well, Ashima, I would not say bossing around. That's not the right word, but yeah, something of that sort. You know, you can go on you can check up on Google. You know, different leadership styles. So you should know. So especially in the top colleges, they definitely ask what is your leadership style. Okay. Any questions till now? Again, as I said, do not prepare an answer for this. any of your achievement, any example can be presented as a leadership experience if that experience involved multiple people and you coordinating and motivating them, right? So do not prepare a special answer for the leadership experience. What if you do not get the question for leadership experience? Then the answer will get left out, right? So these are, I am discussing some commonly asked questions, but I am not asking you to prepare answer for this. Okay, any questions till now on these questions? Yes, no? Right. Strengths. This is another question, that what are your biggest strengths, or what are the things that differentiate you from other applicants? What are your unique qualities? All these, can be put under the same heading, strengths. They can be presented in different. The questions can vary. So strengths. Now, rule of thumb. Strengths. When they ask about strengths, they should be as unique as possible, and they should be related to your long-term career goal. So if you are saying that your long-term career goal is entrepreneurship, then in strengths you should talk about being a visionary or being passionate about things that you do, being a risk taker, so the strengths that you are talking about, they should be in sync with your long-term career goal, and they should be as unique as possible. And when they ask you about strengths, just talk about 2 or 3, but do not give the example without being asked. So when they ask you about strengths, you should say my strengths are this, firstly this, secondly this, thirdly this, and you can say because of these inherent strengths, I have been able to overcome quite a few challenges in my life. So leave it at that. Do not start giving example for each, example of instances, for each of the strengths without being asked. That is one common mistake that applicants do, that they will talk about 3 strengths and they will talk about 1 example of each. So that is not required. The other opposite of strengths is weakness. They might ask you, what is your biggest weakness, or what are your biggest weaknesses? Either way, talk about only 1 weakness, and the weakness should be as common as possible. Maybe being a little impatient, or being a little short-tempered. So it should be very common, which probably that weakness probably even the interviewer might have, right? So your weaknesses should be as common as possible, and your strengths should be as unique as possible. Right? Now in strengths, there is one little cautionary note. If you are saying that my strength is that I have great interpersonal skills, and by nature if you are a reserved person, then it's not in sync with your personality. In your essays it's okay, but when you are meeting somebody, it's very easy to find out whether you have great interpersonal skills or not. So pick strengths that are again in sync with your personality also. If you say that I have got a great sense of humor, but you are coming across as somebody very somber, then it is again not in sync. Gaurav, as I said, weakness should be as common as possible. Some of the common weaknesses that people talk about are being a little impatient, being a little short-tempered, not able to say no at times, things like those. One definite don't for weakness is that don't say that I'm bad at time management. That is a definite don't. Everything else as common as possible is okay. Right? Any questions? So with strengths and or weakness question, just list weakness, talk about 1, strengths you can talk about 2, 3, but do not give the examples with the points. Leave some room for the interviewer to ask. Okay. Failure. Again, a common question, especially with the Asian business schools, we have seen that they ask this question that uh, talk about a time in your life when you have experienced failure. So this should be a genuine failure. It should not be something presented in the form of a failure, right? So it should be a genuine failure. It can be something about you failing an exam, or you doing some wrong calculation and some project getting delayed. It should be a genuine failure, and it should always end with some positive learning and how you have been implementing it since then. And the timeline, when this failure happens, should be as far into the past as possible. This should not be very recent. This should be as far into the past as possible. Then you can say that since then I have been taking care, I have been doing this A, B, C, these 3 things to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So the answer should be presented in a very planned manner. Okay, any questions? Okay, Bishwardeep, your question is, I read different leadership and motivational books. Can some stories be shared or any motivational passages? Well, up to you. As far as possible, keep the examples and stuff to yourself. It should be personal, not somebody else's experience. Ketaki, your question is, how much harm this can make if I say I get nervous sometimes when I'm working under pressure? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to say that sometimes everybody gets nervous, I guess, but what you should say is that the ending should be on a positive note, saying that I know that I sometimes get nervous when I am working under pressure. So anytime I start to feel nervous, I go out and force myself to take a break to calm myself. So whatever it is, just end on a positive note, right? Is that okay, Ketki? Now this is a very, very last question that you would get in any interview, whether it's Skype interview or panel interview or in-person face-to-face interview, is always, is there anything you would like to ask us? Is there anything you would like to know? So here there are 2 pointers. Do not ask. It's okay if you don't have any questions to ask. It's not a crime not to have anything to ask. But if you are asking something, then the answer should not be available on the university website. That is the only thing. The answer should not be easily available on the website, right? And if you do not actually have any questions, it's okay not to have any questions. Some things though here I would like to say is that some commonly asked questions, some questions that students ask, if your interviewer is an alumni, if it's an in-person face-to-face interview, then you can ask him that so you have done your MBA from the same university, so what has been your experience? If you are to describe yourself, pre-MBA and post-MBA, what are the differences that you felt in yourself after the MBA experience? Things like that. If it's an alumni, you can ask about his or her experience of the MBA. Srivastav, this is a definite no. You cannot and should not ask them for a review of the interview or feedback. So you should never ask that, okay, so how did I do? Am I going to get an admit? Definitely no, right? So do not ask for a feedback of the interview. Ask something that you genuinely want to know about. If it's a foreign business school, you can ask it, okay, that in your current class, in your current MBA class, how many Indian students are there? Which industries are they from? Or in the last batch, last class, how many students were there from India? What kind of jobs did they end up getting? And in your career goals, if you are talking about a shift in industry, then you can talk about that as well, that I am planning to shift from this industry to that industry. So have you had cases where students have done this shift? So the question should be related to your profile, something that you want to know about, right? In some cases, in the why MBA or why this business school, students say that they want to join a certain club, like a consulting club or marketing club. So here you can ask that so is there any entry criteria, is there any entry criteria for entering that club, etc. Sometimes again in why this business school, students talk about taking a specific major like marketing or finance or accounting or human resources, some major, something that they want to specialize in. So you can talk about that, is there any GPA cutoff that I have to maintain, or how do I choose the major, is there any grade that I have to maintain to get the major of my choice. So these are answers, these are questions to which the answers are not available on the university websites. So these are the only questions that you should ask, if at all you want to ask. Okay, Srivastava, your questions are, can we ask them about details of scholarship programs? No, Srivastava, once you, this is something the interviewer would not know. So this is, if you have questions about scholarship programs, then do not wait till you get the interview call. You can email the business school and ask them. Okay, Srivastava, if you are, see, it's okay to be, consulting and finance, as you know, in consulting also, finance consulting is one of the verticals, right? Financial consulting. So you can say that I want my function to remain, finance. So I'm not sure whether I want to go into finance or consulting. That you can say, but you have to be clear about something at least, In consulting also, as you know, there are different verticals, right? Any other questions? Okay, so we are wrapping up. So if there are any questions, then feel free to ask. Okay, so since there are no questions, so I'm ending this class. Nice interacting with you. All the best for your MBA. I hope you found this session helpful. And if you have any questions, any further questions, please email them at this email ID.